Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, Ben, let's talk some draft. Let's get out of the zone phone. Joining us now, he covers Kansas for the Topeka Capital Journal. He's Jordan Guskey with us here on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Jordan?
Hey, living the dream. How are you guys doing?
We're doing terrific. All right, we obviously want to start with Darryn Peterson and the weird, not marathon, but semi-sprint that was his career at Kansas. So can you give us some background on what it meant to Kansas when he specifically committed to the program and how quickly things started to feel like they weren't on track or they were going south?
Yeah, I think it meant a lot to the program. When you get some people would consider him the number one recruit, maybe number two at worst. I think when you get a recruit of that magnitude, that's pretty substantial, especially for a team and a program that year in, year out expects to be competing for a national championship. So I think when you get someone of that caliber, it's a huge deal. And then, as you sort of allude to, it did pretty early on start. I don't know if unravel is a harsh word, but it did start to just not go the way that it was envisioned when he first committed, signed, and arrived on campus. And so I think that created some of the problems that you saw with Kansas this past season, but also in some ways allowed other people to emerge. And so I think if you gave that team more time heading into that postseason, as it was constructed, maybe they would advance farther than the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. But obviously they weren't able to do that. But I think it was definitely a big addition to get him, and it's just unfortunate it didn't work out.
What do you think of the explanation out there about him, pulling himself out of games and missing games, having to do with the cramps and the creatine and the hell week that Bill Self put him through? What do you, I guess, what do you make of all that? Yeah,
I was at some of those games, obviously where, he came out of the games, and it's, you want to, I don't know how to say it, but obviously he had health stuff that he was going through, so you want to trust and not, go at him for something like that. But it's definitely, I understand publicly, why it was a sort of a tough look for some of the things that happened. But if he's going through those health issues and he's going through them, and obviously it's just not going to be a great look, especially because they didn't really sort of get ahead of the thing. They sort of let people speculate for a while. I think that's probably part of the problem that, we're all dealing with right now in terms of Darryn Peterson. But he obviously is, went through some stuff and had to deal with it the way he wanted to deal with it.
So, Jordan, beyond kind of the stuff that everybody knows, the pulling himself out of games, the cramping, etc., behind the scenes, what did you make of him as a member of the program, as a teammate, and opportunities to speak with him or just kind of see how he interacts? He's called himself an introvert. He's called himself a loner. Were those negatives, or how did you kind of interpret some of the way he operated?
Yeah, I think he was really well liked by his teammates. I think part of the, like I sort of mentioned a moment ago, just because he wasn't around as much, I think people started to just infuse their own ideas about him into the conversation instead of really knowing more about him as a person. But in conversations with him and conversations just with people around the program and everything, I think he was really well liked within the program. I don't think there was animosity within the program. Obviously there was frustration just because he's dealing with all these health issues, but I don't think there was the sort of same negativity or anything like that around the program as you maybe saw if you were watching, some national shows that maybe took some shots at him.
How do the fans feel about him?
I think there's just a level of what could have been. I think that's unavoidable in a situation like this where a season is sort of derailed by, various health issues. Like what could have been if Kansas had him fully healthy for the entire time. But I don't think there's a animosity toward him as a person. I think there's just a sort of, what could, like I said, what could have been, what could have been if he was healthy.
I'm not asking you to play doctor or anything along those lines. I'm just curious, is it somebody who you think has the opportunity to have a productive career ahead of him? Like, is this somebody who you think is probably going to make it through? And again, not even physically, I just mean as a person, as a player, is somebody whose best days are still ahead of him?
Yeah, I think, and this isn't probably like a unique opinion, but I think if all the medical stuff that they've done at the combine and whatever teams check him out, if all that stuff clears, like, take him. Like, I think he's one of the best college basketball players in my time covering college athletics that I've seen. I'm only 30, so I'm not exactly breaking new ground here, but I think if he's healthy enough and if you clear him medically, you take him, I think he's someone who can be a great NBA player.
How much longer do you think Bill Self will coach at Kansas?
Yeah, it's $1 million question. But he got Darryn, he got Tyron. I think if you keep giving him the opportunity to compete for national championships, I think he's going to continue to take those options. Obviously, his health is playing a major factor in that, and he's talked about that in various forums during and since the season. But I don't know if there's like a specific year I would put on it, but obviously he's coaching this season, and if he can continue to feel like he's competing for a national championship and healthy, then I don't see why he wouldn't continue coaching.
Looking at, I guess, the season they've got coming up now, I know we're a ways out from it, but are fans going to be happy to put this last year behind them and move forward? What are the expectations for this team? Is there a belief that Kansas still belongs at the top of the Big 12 conversation year in and year out?
Yeah, I think the fans still believe that they belong in the top of the conference. I think there's just some, especially maybe probably because of how this past season went, and maybe to your point of putting in the past, maybe some, I don't know if doubt's the right word, but just questions about the team and the roster. But I think, if Tyron delivers, if the rest of the pretty high-profile freshman class delivers, they got some quality transfers that they're bringing in. We'll see if they add any more because they have some roster spots open. But I think there are high expectations, but I think because of how this past season went, there are maybe a little more like wait and see how this happens sort of thing with the team. But it still is a team that, when you have Bill Self as your head coach, people are going to think it's competitive in the Big 12 Conference.
One of the weird things about Kansas, and I've gone back and watched maybe a half dozen of their games this past year, was when Darryn is on the floor, he's really dominating the ball. A lot of plays are drawn up for him, and even though he wasn't necessarily the main point guard, when he got it, he didn't pass a whole lot. That's why he had a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Was that just because he wasn't on the floor very often, so there wasn't much chemistry? And B, how good do you think his teammates were this past season?
Well, I guess maybe starting with B, I think Melvin really, maybe it's something I mentioned earlier, I think Melvin really sort of, I don't know if came out of his shell is the right way to put it, but Melvin really shined because of Kansas legitimately needed him to shine as a sort of point guard type. And so I think he had some really great stretches there. I think Trey White, transfer from Illinois, had some great stretches. Obviously, Flory is someone who was highly sought after he went in the portal. I think his teammates did well. I think there was maybe just, like Bill has alluded to at times, just that struggle with, which team are you coaching? Are you coaching the Darryn Peterson team, or are you coaching the team where Darren's not on the floor? So I think that's something that Kansas had to deal with over the course of the season, and they just sort of had to try to feel that out as, even into the postseason in some ways probably, as they tried to figure that out. So I think the teammates did fine. I think Darren's ball handling and his sort of domination on the ball was just a factor of how they tried to manage that situation.
Assuming you cover football as well, Jordan, any thoughts about the Jayhawks coming out of spring?
Yeah, I think obviously the quarterback competition is the main thing with Kansas football. I do cover the football team. So I think that's the biggest thing that fans are waiting to see. No named starter yet, but obviously it's probably between either Cole Ballard or Isaiah Marshall. They had a transfer in from Rice and Chase Jenkins, who was dealing with some injury issues early in spring. So he wasn't able to maybe get the, sort of crack at it that he would have wanted or the team would have wanted. But I think it's probably between Isaiah and Cole, and as long as that quarterback play is good, then they can have a shot at being bowl eligible. But we'll see what happens.
What's the expectation, do you think, year in and year out for Kansas on the football field after what was seemingly very low for such a long time, and then how that's changed over the last decade or so?
Yeah, I mean, I think the baseline of expectations has risen quite a bit. I think obviously you could see with the back-to-back 5 and 7 seasons that fans are not okay with that, and maybe I wasn't around. I came here in the fall of 21, so I wasn't around for that decade or so where they were really struggling. But obviously, I think 5 and 7 is not acceptable, I guess, in a way anymore for this fan base. So I think they're looking for more. I think bowl eligibility is the baseline. So I think that's really what this team is shooting for, and then in their minds, hoping for more.
Hey, Jordan, thanks for jumping on with us. We really appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.